Hello everyone, this is Catherine, and I'm going to quickly flip back through these because I was at the end. So we are thinking about a professional action plan, which is assignment number 3, is coming up with your learning goals specific to you and the growth that you want to happen, a specific item in domain 2 and a specific item in domain 3. The next step in this process is to really narrow down your focus. You did some research for assignment number 2, and we are going to begin there. So I think it's really important to recognize what the purpose of this is this semester, and it really is to focus your work. It's to give you a sense of focus within your field experience. It doesn't mean that you aren't learning other things. You absolutely are. But this is purposeful, intentional learning, and it is a habit of mind that's really important. The research shows that, having a teacher be aware of their own areas of strength and their need for growth in other areas is really the first step towards professional development. It's important that educators are exploring their thinking and expressing it to others and learning from the perspectives of others. Teaching is a collaborative profession. We all have to work together. And it's not that we don't learn from just going and doing something, but really deep, sticky learning, I like to call it, happens when we think about what happened. Not just doing it, but thinking about it after it happens. And it's important for us to do this work because teaching is so difficult. It's never, ever perfect. It doesn't matter how long you teach, there's always something that can go better. And it's our hope that this framework that we're using is the mechanism that's going to contribute to the improvement of teaching. And so that's why we're using this framework. This slide was in our last screencast, and I just wanted to show you that we're done with that first step of self-assessment. Not that we won't revisit it. You will always hopefully revisit that self-assessment. That's part of the reflective process. But now we're ready to move on to goal setting and action planning, and then thinking about how we're going to carry out that plan. The last 3 components, that reflection, you can see in purple that that reflection part is going to happen weekly in our class discussions and conversations you have with your friends and your cooperating teachers or your field supervisor or whoever else you have as a mentor. It's going to happen formally in the reflective practice assignments and in the pre and post observation conferences that you have for your 2 formal observations. Hopefully we bring it to some sense of closure in the professional growth paper that you'll be writing for the class at the end of the semester. Don't panic, it's really not that long, but it just asks you to pull all your thinking together. And then sharing results with colleagues. At the end of the semester, you're going to do a presentation on your professional growth, and which is just sharing out with everybody in the class what you learned, what you did, and maybe even what your next steps are. So for this assignment, you are going to think about assignment number 2 and decide what your professional goals are for teaching growth this semester. You've got to think about your thinking so far and your context, the classroom in which you were placed. It's possible that what you originally were thinking about doing isn't going to work, just given the context, and that's just kind of the way it is. When we don't know that until you're placed and you're able to see what's there. So then you've got to think about what's manageable and doable. So you've got this vision where you want to grow this semester, and you've also got this place where you've been planted for the semester, your field experience. So what's manageable and doable? What can you do? And it doesn't mean you can't ever do something else. It's just what can you do right now? So when you're thinking about writing your goal, you've got to think about where you are specific to the element you want to focus on, and then think about where you want to be by the end of the semester. And that has to do with that, like the diving deep that we did in our last class, where we thought about those different levels of performance. So where are you now, and where do you want to be later? If you think back to my original example, where I researched social constructivism, I've been thinking about that, and I'm thinking about my context and where I can do it and what I can do. And I've decided that I want to try implementing some of the principles from this learning theory in my writers group. And so I'm going to write my learning goal based on this. So I'm going to stop here for a second and just say, if you haven't seen it already, in D2L there's a document attached to assignment number 3. This is the form you're going to complete before you meet with your field supervisor this week to review your plan, because you are developing your own personal action plan. And then once you've met with your field supervisor to review this plan, you're going to submit it on D2L as assignment number 3. You're going to have 2 goals, one specific to domain 2 and one specific to domain 3. So let's go back to my example, social constructivism. Again, I know that I'm not choosing something out of domain 2 or 3. I'm doing this as an example. So domain 1, planning and preparation. I'm doing component B, demonstrating knowledge of students, and the element that I've chosen is learning process. Now, within learning process, I could choose a myriad of things, probably 50 or 60 different things, but I've chosen social constructivism because, again, it's interesting to me and it's something I want to know more about and improve my practice. So the learning goal that I've written for myself is, it is my goal to revise my implementation of the writing workshop in my methods course to reflect my new understandings of social constructivism. The action steps I'm going to take to get there. Research. I'm going to research the impact of social constructivism. So I'm looking specifically at college courses, and how do I do that? Social constructivism in college courses. Well, I'm going to read articles and journals. I'm going to talk to my mentor, and I'm going to go and purposely observe in a peer's classroom where these principles are being implemented. So I'm going to go watch. I'm going to read. I'm going to talk to people. After I do that, I'm going to revise my lesson plans because I'm already doing the writer's workshop in my class, but now I want to step it up. I want to see how can I rethink what I'm already doing to incorporate what I just learned from my research. And then I'm going to implement my revised plans. So those are my action steps to help me get to my goal. The last piece that I came up with was my evidence. How am I going to know if I was able to do this and if it worked, or if I should think about how I could do it differently? Well, I'm going to survey my students who participate in the class. I'm going to find out what worked for them, what didn't work for them. Did they like working in groups? Did they not like working in groups? When I was asking them to rely on one another, how did that go for them? I'm going to take field notes. So while the students are working, while they are actually doing what I've asked them to do, I'm going to take notes capturing the conversations between the students. I want to take my observations and collect evidence from those. And then lastly, I'm going to video record my class, and I'm going to review it and I'm going to analyze it. And I'm going to look for, was I able to meaningfully incorporate those principles that I learned from my research? So that's that's what I would do on my form. I would fill it out just like that. Now in Practicum 1, I know Joe Hicks talks about SMART goals, and this is a tool that you can use in thinking about writing your goals. You're not limited to this. I just wanted to put it out there as an idea, as a tool that you could use. So this is here. Do with it what you want. Use it if you will. You can research this even more if you would like to. So I hope you all have a chance to meet your cooperating teachers this week. Think about your context, think about this task ahead of you, and your field supervisors will be in touch about scheduling a time to meet with you at the end of the week. Let me know if there's anything I can do, and I look forward to seeing you at the next class.